Let's take a trip to Asia as we stir fry up some Chinese breakfast noodles and Japanese miso soup. Okay, so maybe you're looking for something a bit different than your standard morning oatmeal, coffee, or cereal to kick off your workday. Now, did you know that the Chinese stir-fry noodles can be enjoyed really at any time of the day? But have you ever considered having them for breakfast? Well, in China, breakfast noodles are a thing, and I'm excited to show you how I do it. Now, I love this dish because it's quick, it's easy, and it's all done in one dish, which means less cleanup. And I don't know about you, but I dread doing the dishes. And especially if I'm in a rush, like trying to get to my company's early morning video call that starts actually in a few minutes. Who scheduled that anyway? Noodles have been a staple of the Chinese cuisine for thousands of years. In fact, just recently, scientists discovered fully preserved 4,000-year-old bowl of noodles in China. So these scientists are now concluding that China, not Italy, is the actual birthplace of all noodles. Cool, right? Now check this out. In China, noodles represent longevity, and it's typically used to celebrate birthdays, weddings, and big life milestones. The idea is that, because the noodles are long, so they are used to symbolize things like long life and long marriage. So if you have a long workday ahead of you, these breakfast noodles just might be the trick to get you through it. All right, now let's get started. First things first, we're gonna need a sauce. In a measuring cup, let's go about 1 ounce of water, 2 teaspoons of oyster sauce, 1.5 teaspoons dark soy sauce, 1/8 teaspoon garlic powder, and a pinch of sea salt and some fresh cracked pepper. And mix this together and set it aside. And now it's time to raid that fridge and clean it out a bit. Now this dish is perfect for that. Now I'm happy for you to follow along with my recipe, but also feel free to deviate and use up your own leftovers or any other produce you can find in your own fridge. Now let's get to chopping. Let's start with 1 teaspoon of ginger. I like to peel it like this and then cutting them into julienne cuts, which then makes it easier to get a fine dice cut out of it, just like this. I'll also mince a garlic clove. Now I use a bit of salt here to help absorb some of the delicious garlic juices while adding some seasoning to my dish. I also found some tofu in the fridge. I'll cut them up into some small cubes. Now you could use cooked chicken or pork, or you can keep it clean with just veggies. It's really your call here. I'll slice a shitake mushroom, a quarter of a carrot. Now I thin cut it with a potato peeler here to give me a nice thin ribbon effect, which helps it actually cook faster and it looks pretty in the dish. I'll break down this broccoli a bit more into smaller florets. I also found this baby bok choy, so I'll give it a rough chop and I'll add it to the pile. Here's a half of a bell pepper. I'll cut and leave them into julienne cuts. It's a nice matchstick size, so we don't lose them in the sea of noodles. And last but not least, I'll cut those green onions here on a bias cut. It's a great way to practice your cutting skills in the morning. Plus, I think they look really pretty in the dish. Now that was the hard part. Now all you have to do is just put it all together. Start by heating a wok or a non-stick skillet over high heat. Add butter or oil, and then the garlic and ginger. Now if you need to cook your protein, add it now. Otherwise, if it's already cooked, like my tofu, you can just add it in with the noodles. Now to ensure you don't burn the garlic, you might want to add the rest of your veggies relatively quickly. All but the green onions, okay? We'll save that for the end. Now just continuously stir or toss to cook evenly. Now remember, this is a stir fry after all, right? So keep stirring. With luck, you'll invoke the breath of the wok. Wok hei. Hei is the same word as qi, meaning breath, spirit, or life energy. So this high heat is what helps transform the flavor while adding a bit of smokiness to the dish. Now add in your noodles and continue tossing. Some stores sell already cooked noodles while others need to be cooked. Now I cooked these noodles earlier, but because they were fresh from the refrigerated aisle, it only took me less than a minute to cook it, so it was super quick. Now add your sauce and continue to stir until the sauce absorbs into the noodles. And then kill the heat. Now to save on dishes, I'll be using the same plate I used for all my cut veggies. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice and hot, delicious. And garnish with a little bit of toasted sesame oil and then half of the green onions. Okay, returning the skillet to the flame, use a bit more butter or oil and then fry an egg. Season it with some salt and pepper. Now you can cook the yolk a bit further without burning the whites by simply covering it for a bit. When ready, slide your egg on top of your noodles and garnish with a bit more green onions. Perfect. For the miso soup, it's even easier. Just get a kettle for hot water, and you can have this going on while you're cooking your noodles. In a soup cup or a small bowl, add 1 tablespoon of miso paste. Pour in about a cup of hot water and whisk it all together. Now the white miso is a little bit more mild in flavor and subtle, while the red is a bit more full-bodied flavor. So choose the one that you like the best. Traditionally, you'd make this with a dashi stock instead of water, but because we're looking to save on time, try to find a miso paste that has dashi already in it. Lastly, add in some dried wakame seaweed. Now remember, a little goes a long way as they will grow bigger in water. Add in some tofu and some bias cut green onions. And boom, just like that, you have an amazing Asian breakfast. Chinese breakfast noodles with a side of Japanese miso soup. Again, feel free to modify this recipe with any kind of veggies that you might want to add in. My grandmother would always beef up her miso soup with even more veggies like mushrooms, cabbage, spinach, potato, eggplant, or even daikon. So there you have it. I hope this video gave you a great starting foundation to make this meal your own. And now, all that's left is to grab a soup spoon and your favorite pair of chopsticks and dig in. Itadakimasu. Hi, I'm Chef Chris Wesley, and if you like this video, please support by giving me a thumbs up and subscribing. Hit me up with questions and let me know what you want me to make next. Thanks so much.